Well, coming off a really big, exciting win last night, we're anxious to get on the road and head to Gainesville. It'll be a great challenge for us, as it always is, going to play in that ballpark against that program. So, putting in some work today, and then we'll hit the road tomorrow and see how it goes.
Start with that.
Couple for you. Do you have a weekend rotation set for this series yet? And also, is there an update on Cole Messina?
Cole, we are hoping will be available this weekend. It's a day-to-day thing. He just has to continue to pass certain tests that progress towards being fully cleared. The weekend rotation, we have a pretty good feel. I'm not sure if we want to release it just yet. I want to check with Matt just to double and triple check that that's the direction we're going to go, but we should be releasing it fairly shortly.
Is there a key to reversing the Friday night fortune?
Yeah, play better baseball. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to play better baseball than the team you're playing. And we just have had some close games on Fridays that didn't go our way. So we just need to play better baseball, whether that means a little bit better defense, whether it means Eli really has a great outing, whether it means we get some more clutch hits. It could be any of those things. But we do need to continue to try to look for ways to make sure that we get the weekend off on a better foot.
I know it's kind of a quick turnaround, but what have you seen from Florida so far from any scouting you and the players and coaching staff have done?
Well, obviously with them, it starts with Caglione, both from the pitching standpoint and the offensive side. He's a dominant performer in both areas, and so you've got to be very cognizant of him and what he can do to beat you. So it starts with that. They're an elite defensive team, as they generally are, and it's Florida. Again, they're going to have a very competitive mindset. They always have, they always will, and you've got to respect their ability to win games. They've struggled some in the midweeks, but they've also had some really good weekends. So we respect that. We respect the program and respect going down into their ballpark, because in this league, that's always a challenge.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, and you said the more you talk about it, the more pressure goes on guys. But, over halfway through the season now and still down at the bottom of the league and hitting with runners in scoring position and, pretty fair amount off of your normal batting average. Is there anything that you can do to change things up? Do you try to manufacture things? Do you try to tweak different approaches in certain situations? Like how can it change?
Yeah, it just changes by guys being able to relax in those moments. The guys that right now are struggling statistically in those areas have historically been very good. And we talk with, you can start with our two big guys there that get us all going. We know who those are. Last year they were tremendous with runners in scoring position. This year it hasn't quite been the same. And so baseball's funny like that. Sometimes you can get in a rut and it takes a little longer to get out, and they're obviously working very hard to be the players and to be the run producers that we all know they are. And sometimes it just takes one good at bat and they start to feel better, and then it gets contagious. But I do know we do need to do a better job of putting the ball in play with 2 strikes. I know we need to probably be a little bit more aggressive so that we don't get into bad counts with runners in scoring position. I think some guys are a little bit too aggressive in those situations. Some guys not aggressive enough, and it's always a case-by-case basis. But yeah, we're well aware that we need to do a better job there, because as I look at some of the stats of other teams that we're playing, if we were just even close to our batting average normally is what we need to be with runners in scoring position, and we might have 3-4 more wins easily. And so it's the difference between being really good and being elite, and it's something that, as you mentioned, we can't talk about it too much, because then the thing becomes a bigger thing. But we just need to keep working every day until it turns.
Coach, I remember the last Florida series last year here, and it was super fun. What do you remember about that series, and what's it going to take to kind of manufacture that energy when you guys go to Gainesville?
Well, obviously we played them 5 times last year, and the home team won all 5 games, and so it seems to be in this series, since I've been here, the home team has a major advantage. So we need to find a way to overcome that. Again, I don't think you put pressure on your team. You don't make them press. You just say, we're going down there to play the best baseball we can. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then you let the chips fall where they may from there.
Kind of sticking with the road theme, you've had a couple tough road series in the league already. Do you change any routines, any travel stuff, anything like that, trying to jumpstart that play away from Founders Park?
No, consistency I think is the key generally, and we're talking about what, 2 road trips. I don't think you change everything you do based on 2 road trips, and you just got to be fairly consistent. You look for little things maybe along the way that might spark something, but all in all, the way we do things is the way things have been done for a long, long time. And so at the end of the day, it's about pitching and hitting and defense and running the bases and all those things. That's what wins ball games, regardless of where you play.
I know I asked you this a week or so ago, but Dalton Reeves has doubled his sample size of games played since I asked you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
does he like command a spot in the lineup as DH if Cole's back, just with the way that he's been swinging?
Well, I think he's under consideration. There's no question about it. He's done a really nice job. His defense has been much better than we could have ever dreamed. His development since he got here has been through the roof defensively. You know, he was always been a very solid hitter over the years, but he's swinging the bat well now. The trick is for one guy to go in, that means somebody has to come out. So as I look at the guys, I think our hitters that you can generally say have an argument to be in the lineup. I think it's at 11 or 12 right now. And so on any given day, we can only put 9 in there. So I can tell you, as of maybe a month ago, he wasn't in that group of 11. Now he's in that group of 11.
You mentioned the hitting with runners in scoring position, and like last night, you had runners on every inning through the first 7. I think you left 10. And it's been a thing all season long. Is it just – what do you think's happening with the guys when they have guys at the plate when there's runners on? Is it a mental thing with some of them, or just bad luck? What do you see from the dugout?
Every guy's different. Every guy's different. As we talked about a few minutes ago, some guys are too aggressive, some guys not aggressive enough. I think sometimes you've got to understand we have played one of the top 10 schedules in the country, and with that comes elite pitching. I mean, we faced elite pitchers all year, but I also think we can do better, and I think we will do better. But I think it's trying to find what makes the light go on for each guy. One guy might be mental. One guy might be you've got to be more aggressive. Next guy might be stop chasing and rolling over early in a count, and the guy can't score. It's generally not something you can stereotype a whole group with. It's generally you've got to pick this guy and what can help him. Pick this guy, what can help him. And then collectively, you hope that it all gets better together.
I wanted to ask you about Will Tippet real quick. It seemed like he was a little overmatched at the plate last night. I think he had like maybe 3 strikeouts. Does that concern you at all with the bats he's been putting together lately? And, you know, at the same time, he's been playing pretty good defense, made that good play out there last night. How much does it also help that he's able to do other things, when things aren't going well at the plate?
Well, Will Tippett's in the lineup right now because he plays elite defense, both in terms of consistency and range. He's a leader out there on defense. He's kind of a nice centerpiece along with Cole Messina when they're both playing. He has 12 stolen bases, which is an elite number at this point in the season. So from a base running standpoint, from a defense standpoint, he's an elite player. The offense is not what he or I or what we want at this point. But it's not to the point where we think the negatives outweigh the positives in terms of his contribution to us winning games. So as long as we think he's doing more to help us win games, then we're going to continue to run him out there. And at some point, I think he'll start to swing the bat better. He works too hard not to. He's too athletic not to. Just hasn't happened yet, but it doesn't mean it won't happen in the future.
Kind of the first rough patch for Eli Jones last Friday night. Do you even talk to a veteran like that after an outing like that? What's his week kind of been like since that A&M start?
I think, again, you talk about consistency. You look at the tape. You talk to your pitching coach. You look at what went right, what went wrong. Was there anything different? And then you move on and attack the next start. That's what baseball is all about. Baseball is about consistency. It's about trying to stay as even keel as you can, learn the lessons you need to along the way, learn about the adjustments you need to make, and sometimes the best adjustment you can make is say, hey, it was just one of those nights. I missed my spots, and my mechanics were fine, my mindset was good. I missed some spots against some really good hitters, and they made me pay, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah. What sticks out to you about that last series last year at Florida?
Well, we lost the chance to go to Omaha. I mean, that's what sticks out. We went there as a very hot team, a team that had the ability to be one of the best 8 teams in the country. I think when all was said and done, we were one of the best 8 teams in the country. but we had to go on the road to the team that ended up finishing second in the country, and we lost the series. So that's what stands out. It was a team. We had an Omaha team. There's no question about it, but because of some injuries that led to some losses that led to having to go on the road for a super regional instead of hosting, we missed out on an opportunity to go to Omaha. That's what I'll take with me, but I'll also remember all the great things that we did that year, and it was the last time with Wimmer and McGillis and Mahoney and Sanders and Hall and all those guys. I remember that too, just being in the dugout, knowing that journey with that group of guys was over. And so, you remember the good and the bad always.
I was listening back to that press conference from the last game last year in Gainesville, and I think Ethan had said something about, how him and Cole are going to have to step up being leaders heading into this year with so many veterans gone. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think of the job Ethan and Cole, I guess both, have done as leaders so far this year?
I think they've done a good job. On the offensive side, you look at those two, and then Lee Croy, when we're going well, those guys are doing a really nice job of leading by example, but also being willing to step up and say what needs to be said. Pitching side, Eli Jones has really done a nice job there. So I think there's no question those guys are very much invested in their program, in their team, in success, wanting to win. So I'd say they've done a good job. There's always room for improvement. Leaders at 40 are better than when they were at 30 and 20 and et cetera. So I think one of my challenges is to continue to really help those guys come along and learn what really good leadership is.
What were the elements that led to you guys, you and Clemson, not being able to reschedule? How disappointing is it to you guys not having a chance to play that third game here at your place? And then will you attempt to find a 56 game somewhere?
Yeah, it's disappointing for everybody. Obviously, we all know how much it means. But the combination of games, road games, academic schedules, final exams, we just couldn't find a place that made sense. So disappointing for everybody. Whether we look for a replacement game for that in another spot, I think we need to continue to evaluate where we are health-wise, where we are RPI-wise, where we are schedule-wise, what dates are available. It's a lot of levels to try to figure out a game. And so we'll continue to evaluate it, and if we feel like it's the best move, we'll explore it.
Coach, just care to comment on the women's basketball team winning the national championship?
Well, respect, number one, is the first word that comes to mind, both for Dawn, for her program, for her coaches, her players. They're the role model for everybody. I think just not only in our athletic department, but in this university, about what excellence really looks like. It's a consistent excellence. It's a total rebuild from last year's team to go undefeated and win it all. I just think says so much about what Dawn is capable of, what she does, and she has nothing but the utmost respect. Coming from me, we text quite a bit, and again, I think she's so good for this school, for this athletic department, and we're all lucky to have her here. All right, thank you.